In today's video, I want to talk about Pinterest marketing. This is maybe something you don't really think about when you start your Etsy shop, but one of my pins went viral on Pinterest and brought me a lot of traffic to Etsy. So let's talk about it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Julie and I'm originally from Germany, but I live in Sweden now. So basically I'm an European seller, but my customers come from all over the world and my main audience actually lives in the US and speaks English. So all my products, my digital products are all in English, and my niche is basically the productivity area where I sell printables. I'm currently in my 9 months on Etsy and I'm sharing my journey with you here on my YouTube channel. It's not always an easy journey, but it can be very exciting and also rewarding. So if you do have any thoughts about it, concerns, struggles, or even if you want to share some successes with me, leave a comment down below. So before we start with today's topic about Pinterest, I wanted to let you know if you start an Etsy shop, you can actually get 40 free listings. You just have to grab my link down below and sign up from there. And also I created a little overview of 50 digital ideas. If you're interested in that and want to see what works on Etsy, then grab that as well. There is a link down below in the description. So after you hit that subscribe button, let's talk about Pinterest. So Pinterest kind of adds another layer of to-do lists when it comes to your Etsy shop. But I think in the long run, it's actually good to use Pinterest because it kind of gives you more opportunities to drive traffic to your store. Of course, you can survive or even thrive on Etsy without any extra traffic from social media, for example. But if you have the opportunity, you might want to use it because things can happen like they did happen for me. Also, I see it like you can learn more and add some more skills to your portfolio, to your life portfolio. Pinterest can be a little bit time consuming, but I also think you can get into a routine with it. You do have to create pins, and even if you have a template and everything, you want to mix it up a little bit. So it does take a little bit of time, but if you make time for it, I think it can really work for you if you do it on a regular basis. So if you start a Pinterest account, make sure it is a business account because you want to see all the stats, which I'm going to show you as well in a second, to show you what happened on my account. It also takes a little bit of time to create a following. Again, Pinterest is nothing you can create and then overnight you will see success. But once you have really found your groove with it and you will see a growth also in following, it can really work. For me, I have to say, I don't want to say I cheated a little bit, but you know, everything you do sometimes is maybe for a reason. I could see it as a lot of things I've done before starting my Etsy shops and it has failed. But at the end of the day, I actually created a Pinterest account for my blogging. I used to blog, so I used to create, pins there and put quite a bit of effort into regularly pinning there. And I had a following of about 1,500 people. And it's not so much like you're following on Instagram, for example, or other social media platforms. You just need a little bit of traction, like impressions, and then it is shown to other people. So it doesn't really matter. Although my blogging was totally different from what I'm doing now on Etsy, it still helped to get a few eyeballs on it, and then impressions were increasing on Pinterest. You might say now, oh, I obviously had an advantage because I already had a following on Pinterest, and I have to agree with you, but at the same time, what's the point of not starting on Pinterest? I obviously started at some point, and had a little bit success with it, had a little bit of a following and traction. So at some point you have to start, I started a few years ago, but you can start now, and then a few weeks, months, or years in the future, you can benefit from it. So I don't want to discourage you just because I had a following. I want to be very transparent and say like I had a bit of a following and maybe that's also why I got more impressions and then it went viral. But that doesn't stop you from starting with Pinterest right now and create a little bit of a following, and then one of your pins can go viral as well. So how I started is I just created Pinterest pins from my Etsy listings. You know, I made them in the right format, which I think it's 1000 by 1500 pixels. So it is big enough. It is not the same dimensions as it is on Etsy, so you do have to adjust a little bit. And then I just started to, every time I had a listing, I also put up a pin on Pinterest. And you know, I didn't really know much about Pinterest. I just created the pin, then had a headline. I always think you should maximize whatever keywords you can put there. And then in terms of the description, I did actually write a description for each pin until I realized it actually pulls out the description from your Etsy listing. So you don't really have to write an extra description. And actually Pinterest has changed a little bit since I started a few months ago, and now you can add tags. So you just have to find the right tags for you, which I think is cool, and then you add the link to your Etsy shop. And now, again, this has also changed on Etsy since I started. Now you have this shareable link on Etsy where when someone clicks on it and buys something, you actually don't have to pay the processing fee or whatever fee it is you normally have to pay. When you share a link now and you drive traffic to your Etsy shop, to your Etsy listing, then Etsy releases some of the fees. So let's have a quick look at my stats. Here I actually showed my stats from September. So I think I did start with Pinterest a little bit later because when you start your Etsy shop, you normally don't concentrate on anything else. You can obviously, and maybe it's even a good idea, but you know, I was overwhelmed. I started with my Etsy shop, and at some point when I was ready, I started to care about social media and mainly Pinterest. Here you can see normal stats in September, and again I did already have an account and some other pins not related to my Etsy shop on there, which still got traffic pretty much every month. That just shows you the power of Pinterest, because my blogging period is a long time ago. I would say it's probably more than 10 years ago. It does show you all your pins are there and they get some traffic, but also my followers haven't increased. So you do have to be active if you want to be successful on Pinterest. So September was okay, and then it lowered even mid-September, and then end of September, beginning of October, it started to actually increase the traffic. It drops sometimes for whatever reason, I have no idea. And then it picked up again mid-October and then had a massive drop again in traffic. And then it got really serious. And then October, so the month of October is coming soon on my Etsy channel. So far I have reported on September, which you can see there was a little bit of traffic already and some sales from Pinterest basically. And then in October, there was another bigger increase of traffic. And then I can show you an overall performance. And basically I got over 1.6 million views. And I know this sounds a lot, and I definitely got much more traffic on my Etsy shop, but there are different layers on Pinterest and then also Etsy. You have impressions, so just someone scrolls by and sees and may not see your pin. Then you also have the people who actually click on your listing, which is engagement. And then when they click again on the actual link, that's the outbound clicks. You can see here it's over 8,000 clicks. And then it has been saved, which is also not related to Etsy. Total audience of 1.4 and engaged audience. So that is my overview, and that's my pin, and that's basically just one pin. Obviously this overview is about all my pins, but it was just one pin which really got all the views and also outbound clicks. I want to talk a little bit about the listing as well. It is something I have researched on eRank, which I can show you here. I have another screenshot to show you a little bit the results of this listing or this product. It says there's quite a high demand, over 1,000 people searching, and the competition is actually also quite low. But you can also see in this search trend, it's mainly the US because that's really where most of the customers of mine are. And it did have quite a peak in, what is that, probably January, and then also April, May. And then it slowly actually went down. In September it had another one, which was also actually the month where I saw like an increase in like traffic from Pinterest. But now it's a bit lower. So you can see also, this is a very interesting listing, and we can talk about eRank and listings in general as well. But it had a lot of search volume for the past kind of 6 months of the overview you can see here. And then the search actually went down a little bit. So although this listing looks really good on eRank, it is not as popular as it used to be. Why I'm saying this is because sometimes you can maybe try to predict a little bit what people want, but then there's also different periods of times, and sometimes a product doesn't work anymore and it used to work, or it comes back again and you don't know, or you created a product which wasn't that successful when you actually posted it, but then maybe half a year later or even a year later it becomes all of a sudden popular. So I think Etsy is a very interesting platform, and so it's Pinterest. You know, trends come and go. What it really is important that you are consistent with whatever you do. So consistent posting or interactions on Etsy, and then also consistent posting on Pinterest. So again, do you need it? Do you need Pinterest to be successful on Etsy? No, you don't. But could it help you? And could it maybe surprise you? Definitely yes. I don't really expect every time I post something on Pinterest that this is going viral, but you know, there's always this possibility, and it might help to increase my sales on Etsy. And then in return, it just tells Etsy something is very popular, there's a lot of traffic to this, and then it will push your organic traffic or your organic impressions on Etsy, and people on Etsy find your product then as well. So it does have a benefit, you know, sometimes to drive traffic from outside. And I would say just give it a go. Start Pinterest, do it as much as you can or as little as you are able to, and then make it part of your Etsy routine basically. And then hopefully this will just help you to drive more traffic to your Etsy shop. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!